So today I'll be reacting to or sharing my thoughts about the Wizard Broken PvP build by Auroth. Now I'm not sure when I will be sharing this video because the update is just around the corner and I have been trying to gather more information to share with everyone. But since this has been requested so many times, I thought why not do a reaction or share my thoughts about this build. But anyhow, before I start, here's a short version of the video. If you think you have high skills as a wizard, good map awareness, solid movement as well, and a strong foundation of legendary gems and secondary attributes, then this build is going to be very solid. It offers a lot of movement speed and good damage, and you don't have to play as a support wizard anymore like with other wizard builds we have seen before. And that is going to be the short version of the video. Now let's dive into more detail and I will be sharing my thoughts on who can benefit the most from these builds. So if you are interested, let's start. I will be playing this video in the background so you can see the gameplay as well. But anyhow, let's start with the movement. Let me quickly forward this video. There we go. So I'm gonna start with the mobility. As I mentioned earlier, this build gives you quite a lot of movement, or you could say mobility, which is super important in PvP. The faster you move, the harder it is for the enemies to catch you or hit you. Having a 60% movement speed is fantastic in my opinion. On the top of that, you also get teleport, which provides a shield and add 1 hit of CC crowd control immunity. So overall, really good if you want to be very aggressive with the build. And now let's talk about the damage. When it comes to damage, this build performed pretty well compared to some of the other wizard builds, but it still doesn't quite reach the level of something like Tempest or Crusader. Yes, you can get kills, and yes, the damage is definitely there, but don't expect to 2 or 3 shot people unless of course you are playing with very high resonance and high or strong secondary stats. In that case, you will be one-shotting lower powered players. And speaking of lower power player, let's talk about free-to-play or maybe low spender. Now speaking of low spender players, will this build work for free-to-play or low spenders? That is the question, and my answer to that is gonna be yes, but it won't have the same impact as it would for someone with higher resonance and better secondary stats. You might ask, why is that? Or you will say, Apollyon, you are wrong. And my reasoning for that is gonna be because that is a valid question and I'm gonna try and answer that. So my reasoning for that is going to be this build is designed to be very aggressive. It's meant to pick off enemy players and kill them with high DPS without dying. This build job isn't to support the team, but rather to receive support from the team, deal damage and help push the objective or stop the enemy team from completing their objective. So yes, this build can be played by anyone, but it won't have the same impact as someone who has a higher resonance and better secondary stats. Unless you are playing in a very balanced match, of course, you will be doing as good as Auroth is doing in this video. And let me explain this further. Let's say in this, he is another content creator. Let's say Indus plays this build on his free-to-play wizard account and faces off against my wizard. Will he able to kill me or stop me? The answer to that is gonna be no. He'll most likely just tickle me with those lightning nova because I have much higher secondary stats and higher resonance. If he tries to get close, he's gonna get CC locked and then eventually killed off. So the impact of the build will be somewhat lost if he dies and doesn't do much damage versus me, unless he decides to dive in with all his skills active and deals as much damage as possible, and then basically do the suicide, rinse and repeat. So again, this build can be played by anyone in my opinion, but the impact will be depending on each individual character power. But honestly, that's true for like any build. The only difference is some builds allow you to stay in the back line and provide support for your team, avoiding that while still having an impact as a low power player using CC. But hey, that's just my opinion and it is not a fact. And we will be moving on to the next part. That in my opinion is the most important. So let's talk about the difficulty of this build, because in my opinion that's the biggest part. Auroth makes this build look easy to play, but 90% of the wizard player base won't able to play it at Auroth level, and here's why, my reasoning for that. Look at how much button mashing this build requires. It's not easy to pull off on mobile devices, and I believe so Auroth is playing on a PC here to showcase this. You can see the amount of button mashing this build require, and on the top of that, you are not just mashing the buttons, you also need to constantly watch the minimap, stay aware of your movement, and not stare at your skill buttons to see when they will be ready to button mash again. And again, Auroth is doing all that effortlessly here in this video, and I believe 90% of the wizard players won't able to replicate that. And how, you will ask me how I know that? Because whenever I do PvP, I have faced a lot of wizards out there, and 90% of the wizards out there are just not skilled at the same level of Auroth, and so the result you will be getting is going to be different than the one that Auroth is getting here on this video. The reason for that is, again, 90% of the player base is just not Auroth. They will be playing this build, but the result that they will be getting is not going to be as good as Auroth. But anyhow, let's get back to the beginning. Is this build broken? And my answer to that is going to be not yet. And I say not yet because this build is about to get much stronger with the upcoming new offhand Ascent for the wizard. The new offhand will allow wizard to deal 45% increased damage to burning enemies while the ice armor is active. So basically, if you use a 4-piece Eggman set, you will able to trigger a burn fire dot on enemies using the lightning nova, and then deal that 45% increase damage to them while they will be burning. But keep in mind, this combination will also require high potency to constantly keep that fighting effect burning on the enemies, otherwise it will go away instantly. And you could also add a rolling consequence to add additional burning effect on the enemies, but again it will require you to have higher potency, and you can have increased 45% increase the damage to the burning enemies. I believe this will make the build a lot more stronger even for free to play and low spenders, but the skill cap is still going to be there. You will need a high awareness of the map, movement speed, and you will need to learn to button mash and still able to do everything else. And of course, we still need to get our hands on this new offhand Ascent first and test it out. If it doesn't work the way we are expecting, at least I'm expecting, then it won't be able to take full advantage of it versus the burning enemies, at least in a PvP. But hey, that's just my personal opinion as a fellow wizard player. This was a much requested video, and let me know in the comment section down below if you have tried this build yourself and how it went for you. And I'll see you all in the next one. Again, if you think you are a skilled wizard, go use it. It is a fantastic build for high damage, high mobility. All you need is the skill to use the button mashing a good movement awareness of the map, and that's it. You should be able to do just fine. Now I'm signing off. See you all in the next one. This video link to this video is going to be under the description, so you can go check it out yourself. Now I'm signing off. See you all in the next one. Later, guys.